So you decided to start a private practice, but how do you get patients to find you and, more importantly, to book appointments with you? If you feel overwhelmed and have no idea where to start marketing your practice, then this video is for you. I invited an expert in ethical medical marketing from Avily, the largest healthcare marketing company in South Africa, to share the 3 simple steps to implementing marketing in your practice. If you're new here, hi, I'm Tasneem Abrahams, occupational therapist and founder of the Private Practice Growth Club, and I share tips and tutorials to help health professionals start profitable private practices in South Africa. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications down below so that you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it.
Hi everyone, my name is Khaalid. I'm the CEO at Avily, and we are the largest healthcare marketing company in South Africa. We work with over 1,000 healthcare professionals like yourself, and we help them market and grow their practices. And in today's session, I really hope that I can impart some knowledge on how you can leverage marketing to grow your practice. So in terms of, what you'll get from this talk, I'm aiming to get 3 important things across, and that's namely things that will build on the foundation on how you can future market yourself. So there'll be 3 easy steps that I'll predominantly be running through in this presentation. So before we jump into what those steps are, I'd first like to sort of go through what exactly is marketing within the context of being a health professional. And in terms of what it means to do marketing, it's very broad-based. There are many different platforms and channels that you can use. But in essence, regardless of whether it's 5 years ago or 10 years into the future, it comes down to 2 main primary goals. And that is creating awareness for your practice brand and lead generation. And so what exactly is the difference? Because the 2 are quite similar. People may think that they are the same thing, but the core thing about brand awareness and lead generation in terms of the differences is that brand awareness aims to solidify your brand within your practice, and solidify your brand with patients. So examples of those would be things that I'm sure a lot of you would have done before, implemented in your practice. So things like signage, whether that's inside or outside your practice, and things like printing and distributing your business cards. Those are both really good examples of brand awareness marketing activities. And on the other hand, you'll find that lead generation marketing has the full intent of actually generating patient inquiries, potential patient inquiries that will become long-standing patients at your practice. So, and then you'll think to yourself, okay, yeah, but if I have a sign outside my practice, that also can, in some sense, deliver patients. The core difference, though, is that lead generation marketing entirely aims to achieve the goal of driving patient inquiries. And the way you can understand this is if you had a sign outside your practice and 100 people were to walk by that sign every single day, the percentage of people that arbitrarily walk by that sign, the percentage of those people, let's say 1 or 2, you'd be lucky to get 1 or 2 that actually see that sign and actually decide to book an appointment. Comparatively, with a dedicated lead generation campaign, for example, if you were to do Google marketing, so let's say for argument's sake, I was a potential patient and I was looking for a physiotherapist. I go onto Google and I type in the words best physiotherapist near me. The end result is that I see an advert for a physiotherapist. I click on the advert and I subsequently contact the practice. The percentage of people, if say 100 people were to do that, is going to be much higher, at least 30 to 40%, and this is compared to the 1 to 2% that's people would book appointments seeing that sign. So lead generation aims to drive patient inquiries. Brand awareness just aims to solidify your brand and your practice as an authority. So what types of marketing exist, and what falls within brand awareness and lead generation? If I'd asked this question 10 or 15 years ago, the only answer you could really give would be something like business cards, signage, or word of mouth. And the reason for this is because digitization hasn't really existed 10 to 15 years ago. And in terms of compliance with the HPCSA regulation, these were the only things that you were allowed to do. So, how does it actually compare to what it's like today? Well, today, the top 20 most used forms of healthcare marketing is overwhelming. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of every single form of marketing that exists. It's just for you to understand how complex the landscape currently is, and how many different things you could possibly do as a healthcare professional when it comes to marketing. But yeah, for the purpose of this talk, I'm only going to take you through what are the essential ones to get you up and running, that you can and are able to build a solid foundation going forward for any future marketing activities. So before I do that though, I'd sort of like to discuss why marketing is necessary. And the reason marketing is necessary, and I think it'll be quite easy to illustrate this using an example that's not entirely related to the healthcare industry. So if you were, let's say for argument's sake, wanting to book out a restaurant for your 40th birthday, and you ask a friend, what is the best restaurant for you to go to? Do they know of any restaurants nearby that's really good for this? And they subsequently give you an idea or say, go to this one. Based on that friend's recommendation, you then Google the name of that restaurant, you find their website, you read a little bit about the restaurant, you read the menu, you see that there are a few things that you would actually like if you were to go to this restaurant. You also find that this restaurant has hundreds of really good reviews online. So you now feel a lot more confident about booking that reservation for your birthday. Similarly, if you are a potential patient looking for healthcare services, especially if you are a private patient, private patients are even more likely to do this. And so we found that 3 to 4 out of every 5 potential private patient actually researches their practitioner before deciding to book an appointment. So even if word of mouth is your primary form of marketing, if you're not doing at least the brand awareness marketing on a digital platform, you are doing yourself a disservice, because have you asked yourself the question, how many word of mouth referrals am I missing out on because I don't have a strong digital presence? When someone refers me via word of mouth and they subsequently Google me and they find nothing, then they go, oh hey, I'm not actually really going to book an appointment, or not too sure about this practitioner because I actually found a different one because another friend referred someone else that had tons of really good reviews. So not doing marketing at all is also really, really bad. Even if you don't aim to do a massive or very comprehensive strategy, not doing it is really bad. So I mean, that's why it is really important. So I mean, based on the previous slide in terms of how complex the landscape currently is, where exactly should you start is the question that we get quite often from practitioners who consult with us. And our advice to them is generally, step one is get yourself a website. Get yourself a comprehensive website, one that really showcases your practice in the best possible way. And not only do that, but also set yourself up on social media. Now we get asked, okay, so what's social media? There's so many. And the one that you should be using is Facebook, namely because Facebook has the largest social media audience in South Africa. So get yourself a website, set yourself up on Facebook, and generate yourself a Google My Business page, which is basically a page on Google that showcases the location of your business. And so that allows people to find your business when they use things like Google Maps. So those are the three most important things that you can easily set up, get anyone to help you with. And then the second thing that we really recommend to clients is, once you've done everything in step one, invest in a lead generation campaign. So you've got your website set up and people are able to read about you and learn about you. But now it's time to extend your reach so that people who don't know about you now become aware of you. And the way you do that is by investing in a lead generation campaign. This basically entails doing things like Facebook marketing or advertising, or Google marketing or advertising, or on Instagram or whatever other social platform, with the intent of generating patient inquiries. The third thing that we find is very important, and the third step that you should aim to implement, is to track and manage the performance of your campaign. It's so imperative that you do this, because often we find practices would have started marketing out of their own and they come to us and they say, yeah, but it was such a complete waste of time. I did this and that, but it didn't really work. And for the most part, the reason for that is they've implemented something, it didn't work, but they didn't realize why it didn't work. They didn't find out which platform wasn't working, which one was. They just kind of decided that everything didn't work. So it's very, very important to track where the inquiries are coming from. And, you can do things like that by asking your front desk to record that, or you could record that in your patient intake form. But it's just so important to do that. It's also important to track and manage the performance, so that if you do and when you hire a company to do this, they don't pull the wool over your eyes because, they say and tell you it's working and they are doing things, but you're not seeing results. So it is just so important to track and manage and refine the performance of your marketing. Next thing that we find that is quite important is to ensure that your marketing is HPCSA compliant. This is very important because non-compliance can lead to HPCSA either shutting your marketing campaign down, or even worse, you getting laid with a hefty fine for not complying with regulations. The way you can ensure that you do comply with this is by reading up and learning about all the different marketing regulations. Or alternatively, you really just find yourself a company that actually hyper specializes in healthcare marketing, so that they already understand all the ins and outs and how to implement a strategy that is HPCSA compliant. So yeah, to sort of end off, the final slide is, is marketing in practice actually worth it? And to that, it's a resounding yes, like absolutely. In all the years of us helping practices, we found that, at least 80% of all our clients have seen double-digit growth rates year on year. Even in like recession years, they still continue to see good growth. And sort of illustrated this with an example slide. So basically, this slide and graph actually shows in a case study, the study that we did, it plots allied professionals that we've worked with against allied professionals that had not worked with us and have not done work and not done any marketing. And what you can basically see is that starting with a good marketing investment and reinvesting every single year, a percentage of your revenue into marketing actually results in your practice growing quite exponentially over time. And often you find practices, they'll start out with marketing. So what you'll notice in like year 1 to year 2, you'll see that the revenue levels of the two practices are fairly close. So, and that's kind of where practices go, okay, you know what, I've done this for 6 or 12 months. I've seen some return, but it wasn't like drastic. And they then subsequently stopped doing the marketing. And in fact, it's like in the first year, you're still figuring things out, you're managing and you're tracking performance. But it's only really once you get to year 2, year 3, where you really start seeing the compounded returns of doing that marketing. And the reason for that is because as your patient base increases through the new patients that you generate from your marketing campaigns, your word of mouth and referral base subsequently increases as well. And that has a massive knock-on effect if you compound it over years. And the end result is that practitioners that invest in marketing typically reach capacity or full capacity in a third to a quarter of the time that a practice that just has longevity reaches. I mean, in some cases, for example, if you're a dentist, you may not ever even reach the levels that a practice that does marketing will reach. You may only ever reach 10% of their max revenue. So, I mean, doing marketing has a drastic impact on your bottom line if done correctly.